Well, on to this conversation now. So the Aurum Institute, in collaboration with the International AIDS Vaccine Initiative, this week hosted a conference really looking at regional HIV vaccine awareness on the continent, but also in the SADC region. This event took place under the theme Accelerating the Path to an HIV-Free Future, Collaboration and Innovation in HIV Vaccine Research and Development. To tell us more about what came out of that discussion, but also where we are really in getting closer to finding HIV vaccines and seeing an end to HIV, we are joined on the line now by Mr. William Brumskine of the Aurum Institute for South Africa. William, a good morning to you, and thank you so much for giving us your time.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, I think this is a really this is a really important discussion, because I think that what we do a lot of the time is really not check in on where we are, particularly in medical research after COVID-19, where pre-COVID-19 there was so much work being done in the space of HIV vaccines. Talk to us about the key points that came out of the roundtable discussions on what progress has been made post-COVID-19 and really developing HIV vaccines.
Well, it was a wonderful opportunity to touch base with our partners in developing these type of research strategies towards combating HIV. We were able to meet with community leaders, touch base with the press to showcase the developments in early phase HIV vaccine research, and also touch base with specialists and scientists to, show what the key concepts that will be leading this fight going forward.
Yeah, I'm keen to hear just some of the numbers, right? Particularly where I remember a few years ago we started seeing the trials already in parts of South Africa. I remember some trials taking place in Tembisa. Where are we now with the numbers of where those trials are sitting, and how much do we know about how well they work?
Okay, so IAVI, one of our main partners in this type of research, conducted a clinical trial called G001, mainly in the United States, and they were able to demonstrate that one of the molecules that are being researched is able to basically start the process towards developing broadly neutralizing antibody reaction within human beings. And this is sort of like the holy grail of preventative measures towards fighting HIV. This is still very early on, and the whole process is sort of like shepherding, which is where we get the precursor cells, prime them, and then try and give them another boost towards developing or maturing into cells that can produce broadly neutralizing antibodies that can fight acquisition of HIV. The beautiful thing about this is that our community in Tembisa, together with another site in Rwanda, is participating in the trial that is following on this type of work, where we're trying to find out if the wonderful results that were seen in the G001 trial can be replicated in our communities. Yeah. And this is because obviously there's a huge genetic diversity on the globe, and we want to know if our genetic profile is able to have the same type of reactions as our counterparts in the United States.
Yeah, I think what's quite interesting is obviously the work that's being done in the research that you're talking about in Rwanda and here in Tembisa in South Africa. But what I find quite fascinating is also what's still coming, right? You've got these newly approved and recommended HIV prevention pipelines, if you will, right? I mean, we know about the condoms and the syringe exchange programs and even circumcision and, the daily a tablet that those living with HIV would take. But now you've got some new innovations coming in, like a vaginal ring?
Yes. Pretty recently, we were blessed with the approval of the Depiverin ring, which is a vaginal ring that is impregnated with a slow-release antiretroviral that basically coats the the tissues there to prevent them from acquiring HIV. What's of note is that the research to get this product where it is right now was conducted here in sub-Saharan Africa, and are in and around basically South African urban and peri-urban areas.
Yeah, and in development still. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the work that you've done, and some interesting things about what's still in development, and we're talking about HIV prevention, right? Long-acting implants. I mean, now we're getting into actually implanting things into human bodies so that they can not at all be infected with HIV. I mean, what are some of those interesting products that are coming?
So currently in development in terms of efficacy trials, we're conducting a long-acting injectable antiretroviral called lenacapavir as part of our collaboration with Gilead to try and see if a 6-month injection for prevention of HIV would actually be workable in our populations. It's something that's very promising. Also, there's been developments around a combination oral preventative, oral contraceptive and oral antiretroviral that can prevent HIV and pregnancy. That's in our efficacy phase trials. But in preclinical, we're looking at obviously long-acting implants that you've mentioned, multipurpose vaginal rings, mucosal inserts, vaginal films. Basically, there's a broad spectrum of technologies that we're looking at, and the whole point is to provide choice to individuals in their path trying to prevent acquisition of HIV.
A few years ago in the country, we're talking about the 90-90-90 goal that we've set for ourselves, right? That 90% of people get tested, 90% of those who come out positive are on medication, and the other 90% then who are on medication are undetectable. Great goals. Where are we now in terms of the goals that we set for the research? So at what point can we actively say that people will be able to go out and get their hands on a product that prevents HIV?
Well, there's still a lot of promise. I think with the advent of mRNA technology that's been worked on for the last decade or so, that has now assisted us a lot in the COVID pandemic, and the current HIV vaccines also trying to make use of this technology. We hope that a similar process that would expedite our progress towards an effective vaccine is in play. So we see partnerships between our funders and also a lot of African scientists playing a leading role in this. And, I think it's something that we need to be proud of.
Yeah. William, thank you so much for speaking to us, and we really hope you'll come back and update us on the work that's being done so we can get closer and closer to an HIV-free South Africa. William Brumskine there is with the Aurum Institute of South Africa.